Memories of you, they're pulling me down. Echoes in my mind, can't leave them behind. Swamp donkey, monkey mouth, got me losing sleep. I'm haunted by your name. Caught up in this storm, my heart can't be tamed. Feeling trapped in time, reliving the pain. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Feeling heartache, we're breaking. Your love got me crying. Swamp donkey, monkey mouth. Feeling heartache, we're breaking. Your love got me crying. Swamp donkey, monkey mouth. Feeling heartache, we're breaking. Your love got me crying. Shadows fall, memories fade, but I can't let go. Your words are haunting, your lies cut so deep. Swamp donkey, monkey mouth. You played me like a fool, girl, now I'm all alone. Heart torn, soul on fire, love turned to stone. Swamp donkey, monkey mouth.
Oh, I didn't know you were there. Oh, one of my favorite songs. How's it going, you guys? It is Jack Bravo at the Righteous Edge. Don't think that just because I'm wearing a suit that I'm going to be serious. We are live, and I am back with Mr. Producer at the Righteous Edge. If you guys like the Righteous Edge, like, share, subscribe. We are trying to do a lot of work to make the show better and better and better. And we will keep on improving because we have a message. And we like to get information out and tell people what and how and why Christian men feel the way they feel. It's a dying lesson in today's day and age where being a man is demonized. We will not let real men die. We will continue on with the message from Jesus Christ first. We are Christian conservatives. And furthermore, we are bold, we are strong, and we are not scared of anything that Satan throws at us, whether it be left-wing ideology, Satanism, feminism, all that isms. We fight them all here. We are not silent about it. We stand up for the truth. We stand up for strong men. And we will continue to do so until they put me down. So what I want to talk to you about today, is I saw a video and I just could not help but think about the Decepticons. You know, those people that pretend to be one thing and are actually another. And if they wear a dress, they want to be known as the sex that typically wears dresses. The Decepticons, you know who I'm talking about. They have this agenda. And this agenda has been pushed on the common man. Okay? And I couldn't help but see this one story and think of the correlation here. How come nobody can put together the correlation? Am I the only one seeing the correlation between these two stories? So, Mr. Producer, when we play this story, I'm going to be asking you to pause it several times because I just want people to see. Am I going crazy here? Let's you know what? Let's pray. It's by Ray William Johnson. He's very famous. He got big on YouTube. And now he does most of his stories on TikTok. So let's play this video.
Story I've ever covered. And it all starts with this guy, Neil. And Neil is 43 when the story starts, living in England. And Neil is a vascular surgeon. But Neil is also a really weird guy. I mean, he's very into amputation, but not just because of his own job. He has always wanted to amputate his own body parts because allegedly he secretly finds the idea of amputation hot. Yeah, this is very bizarre. Anyway, one day in 2019, Neil comes up with a plan to have his lower legs amputated, and along with that, scam the insurance company out of a bunch of money. And so
wait a second. Wait a darn second. Wait a second here. This guy is known as weird because he fetishizes being an amputee. What's wrong with that? I don't see what's wrong with that. Why not teach how to be an amputee and respect amputees in school? Why shouldn't kids who want to be amputees be able to be amputees without telling their parents? Why do we have parades for amputees? That's what I'm asking. It's astonishing to me that you guys call this man weird because he fetishizes amputees. What's weird about that, you bigot? Are you a bigot? Are you amputee-ophobic? All right, we can continue playing.
So Neil gets to work on this plan. First, he either has some sort of insurance policy or he gets one in the private sector. Either way, he makes sure he's insured. Then he gets a bunch of dry ice and he soaks his lower legs in it, like just the part below his knees, so that part of his legs freezes. And he has to soak them for like hours, and the dry ice hurts. Like, this is not a fun time that he has to do this, but it works. He successfully does a lot of damage to his legs. Then, I assume he calls an ambulance for himself and is like, my legs are messed up, come get me! And so, I guess an ambulance rushes him to the hospital, and when the doctors ask what happened, he comes up with this whole story about how he was on a camping trip with his family, and he hurt his leg, and then when he got home, he developed sepsis or something.
What that, Mr. Producer? Why does he have to lie? He shouldn't have to lie. He wants to be an amputee. It's his life. Love is love and all that stupid talk. Why not? Why can't he just be an amputee and live his life? He had to lie? If he wants to cut off pieces of his body parts, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? I don't understand what the fuss is about. People should just encourage him. And yes, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep being super sarcastic until these idiots out there understand how stupid their ideology is. This man wanted to be amputee really, really bad. He had this fetishization. I don't even know the weird word. He was obsessed with it. He sexualized it even. And so he went and made this insanely kooky plan to think of a way to have his legs removed. According to today's logic, I don't see what the problem is. I really don't see it. We continue playing.
And the doctors examine his legs and they're like, yep, you got a sepsis infection. And they conclude that there's nothing they can do for him and that they have to remove his legs. And I guess secretly Neil is like, sweet, because, this is all part of his plan, because I guess he thinks amputation is super hot, like it gets him going. And of course the doctors, they don't know this, they think he has sepsis. And so Neil, he goes into surgery, and the surgeons remove his legs right below the knee. 7 weeks later, after recovering in the hospital, they send him home. So he goes home and he starts, of all things, a YouTube channel, and there he starts vlogging a little about his amputation journey.
So I'm now in bilateral.
He looks like the type. He looks like the type that would be attracted to somebody who has a loss of their own legs and limbs. Why? So many things I could say here, and I'm trying to hold my comments till the end because y'all gonna see how much disgust I have for Decepticons for this very reason. I don't see the difference. I do not see the difference between the Decepticon walking out there, doing what they do when they cut off their bosoms and they cut off their hot dog and they give it up to live the life of a sweet little princess. And they go and they do something like that and everybody congratulates them. It's not weird at all. We can't even say it's weird, can we? You say it's weird. You say, man, that's weird. Oh, you lost your job. Oh, you kicked out of school. Oh, you're labeled a bigot. Oh, you get shot. This is the problem, man. People are so hypocritical. If you look at this story and trust me, his channel is very big. People in the comment section are saying, this is weird. This is creepy. I thought it was weird and creepy when men was in dresses dancing. But I was a bad guy for saying that. But it's not weird and creepy that this dude get to do what he want to do. That's weird and creepy. But when a man says he wants to cut off his Johnson, that's not weird and creepy. That's who he really is. What type of backwards world are we in? You can continue playing. Oh, I'm gonna make you work today, Mr.
Baloney amputee.
And so now he doesn't have legs, and I assume he's happy because he low-key thinks amputation is hot. And he's getting all sorts of sympathy from the people around him because his accident was so tragic and unexpected. Meanwhile, he goes and he quietly cashes in his insurance claim, and he's awarded more than £466,000, or around 630,000 US dollars. And from there, Neil has to recover for a few months, and he gets prosthetic legs, and he learns to start walking on those, and he vlogs the process a little bit. And about 6 months later, he goes back to work at the hospital as a vascular surgeon. Here's a picture of him. You can see he's got the prosthetic legs on.
Pause this real
Now,
quick. Now let me ask people for real. Who in the world will be comfortable with a man this wacky in the head being a doctor for you? Just be for real now. None of this, oh, well, I feel comfortable with anybody, even though they have different ideas than myself. Shut up. I'm talking about be honest. If a man had done this to himself, purposely hurt himself because of the ideas in his head, wanted to live life as an amputee, would you feel comfortable with him being your doctor?
Heck no.
Exactly. You would not, because you know something is wrong. But yet, we supposed to send our little girls to school in the same bathroom as a grown man who thinks he's a little girl. We have to have this duality of stupidity where we just put things out of our mind even though we know something is wrong. We can look at a dude who would do something like this and laugh at his story and say how crazy it is, and then go and see Delilah, who used to be David, the next day at work, and we don't get to say nothing. That's cool with y'all? This the world y'all want to live in? All right, you can play it.
throughout his recovery, he's been getting all sorts of media attention. And this dude, he's playing it up.
Probably been the toughest year of my life, that goes without saying.
It's been a very strange year.
Even the BBC does a little special segment on him, and they interview him. And he's like telling the media and people how, oh, this has changed his outlook on life now. And, you know, he had taken things for granted like walking the dog or playing football with his kid, but he'll never be able to do that again. Bitch, it's your fault. Anyway, in 2020, he ends up winning some kind of award for bravery in his fight to return back to a normal life, I guess. Meanwhile, he's also...
Look at all the congratulations he's getting. Look at all the accolades, the awards, people coming out of the woodwork to say how brave he is. You don't think that after he receives something like that, other people will not copy him? Other people who say, you know what? I don't use my legs that much anyway. I'm already depressed. My life is already going downhill. I can get all this attention from mutilating my body. People will label me a hero and say how brave I am. You don't think that has effect on what somebody does? You don't think somebody will live a lie if they know they're going to be congratulated as a hero every day? They absolutely will. And then people will look at him and say he's wrong for doing what he did. But then a man who pretends to be a woman that goes against a woman in a sport and wins, we congratulate them. You can play the video.
working on the side as a lecturer at a local university. And in 2021, he applies for the European Space Agency's Para-Astronaut Feasibility Project, where they're seeing if people with a physical disability could go into space. And so he applies for a spot, and his story is so inspiring that he ends up on the shortlist for the program. Like, the way he is getting away with all this is insane. Now, remember how I said you aren't ready for this one? Well, here's where it all gets really weird. At some point, Neil connects with this guy, who we'll just call Creepy. Here's a real-life picture of Creepy if you want to see it.
Look at this dude. Look. Here's my problem with a lot of these people, man. This and how sick they are and how twisted they are, you would never gather a group of people that were sexually attracted to amputees and purposely go out of their way to become an amputee and fetishize not having limbs. You would never grab those group of people and say, let them teach children. You would never grab those group of people and then just put them amongst society and let them make laws. But yet in our society, the Decepticons go to the top of the list for everything. They're making laws. They're dancing in front of the children. They're reading books in kindergarten. They're getting elected as officials. And people just think this is cool. You can play it.
Now, Creepy, he runs a website, and I just recently learned that this is a real thing. It's some kind of website where people will pay him to amputate their body parts with consent, but it's like a sexual thing for them. So Creepy will then film these amputations, and he will put those videos on his website, and people can then purchase them and watch the videos. Or he will perform the whole procedure for people to watch on live stream. I guess there's a whole subsection.
And this is a question for people who don't believe in God. And for those Christians, I want you to listen because it's a very good question, even though it's weird. What is wrong about this if you're not a Christian? If the people are consenting, they go to a site and everybody involved is a consenting adult and they want to cut off their own arms or become amputees and not have any legs or pluck out their own eyes, what's wrong with that? Because without God, you have no standard of morality. Atheists have it's impossible for them to argue this. If two consenting adults want to do this, an atheist will have to say, well, I don't see anything wrong with it. It may be, according to your morality, not okay. But if that's I might find it weird, but they're two consenting adults. They can do what they want to with their own bodies. That's why Christianity is needed. This is why God created the laws that he created. Because people are so dumb that when you let them have freedom, they will go in a room and film themselves cutting their own body parts off. That's why. God has deemed that he has a law, that there are certain things that are wrong, even though they don't cause harm to anyone but yourself. An atheist cannot fathom that. Well, I should be able to use drugs and do whatever I want to do. It's my body. God has said your body does not belong to you. You belong to God. You don't get to make your own rules. You have to follow God. You don't get to just do what makes you happy. You follow God. Any Christian saying, I'll just do whatever makes me happy. You're an idiot and you never opened the Bible before. The Bible is not about happiness. It's about joy. Joy that only comes from following God. Joy and happiness are two different things. The disciples, the apostles, they follow God until they died, until their dying day. Paul wrote most of the New Testament from prison. Malnourished. People had to bring him food. You think he was happy? No, he was not happy, but he was filled with the joy of the Lord because he knew that what he did had an everlasting weight to it. He was following God. That's what made him joyful. Happiness is fleeting. Joy is forever. And for any Christian who says, do whatever makes you happy, guess what? What if cutting off my own arm makes me happy? That's what these sick individuals are doing. What if cutting off my own wee-wee makes me happy, and then I go around in a dress saying how happy I am? Till I shoot up a school, that is. But then I go around in a dress, and everybody tells me I'm pretty, and they all lie to me, even though they know I look like a grown man with a 5 o'clock shadow. They will say these things make them happy. The problem is happiness is here today, gone tomorrow. It doesn't last. Don't do what makes you happy. Obey God in season and out of season. You can play the video.
Of people out there who are not only into that, who are willing to pay money for it. Now, at some point, Neil stumbles upon Creepy's website. And he's like, oh snap, this site is fine. Because, amputations are his thing. And so he signs up for it, and, he loves it. Like, he has found his people. Now, coincidentally, one of the services Creepy advertises is having limbs frozen off. I guess he does that for his clients. Like, if you want your limbs frozen off, he's the guy you go to. So at some point, Neil visits the site so much that he gets in touch with Creepy. Because, they share a mutual interest. And they become friendly, and they start chatting and messaging back and forth. And in their conversations, Neil opens up to him like, hey, guess what I did? And he starts telling him about how he concocted this whole scheme to freeze off his own legs and how he tricked everyone. And he basically confesses his crime to him. And of course, Creepy's like, jolly good show or whatever. But it doesn't matter that he confessed because Creepy, he's never gonna leak that information to the police or to the public.
You want to pause that?
Until...
When you get sick people together, there's a saying that went around even when I was a child, and it went like this. There's no honor amongst thieves. The reason why that's important is people have always expected humanity to only go so far. They expected, oh yeah, if we let gay marriage happen, then you're not going to see 3 men getting married. Well, this week I just saw 3 polyamorous men adopted 2 children in the UK. They said, if you let gay marriage happen, there's not going to be men that are trying to make it okay to have sex with little boys. Well, the MAP group is a group that goes around and they try to get funding. They try to get people to agree that love is love even between a grown man and a boy. They march at gay parades. They got their own t-shirts. They got their own logos. All this stuff, and people still trying to act like, oh, well, the slippery slope thing is a fallacy. No, it's not. When you let these degenerates do things, there is no trust amongst them. There is no honor amongst them. They are degenerate. So you cannot sit up here and act as if, oh yeah, we'll let them read in front of the kids and they'll only go so far. We'll let them play in sports and we'll give them little awards and then they'll only go so far. We'll let them box against men in the MMA or box against girls in the MMA, but they only go so far. No, they will not stop. In the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, which I taught about last weekend, these men were filled with rage. They would not stop. Degeneracy is not that of a certain, doesn't have the character of being stable. It will not stop. These people in Sodom and Gomorrah, if you read in Genesis chapter 19, you read the story of Lot. When the men were scratching at the door to have sex with angels, the angels made the men blind. You think that stopped these degenerates? They were scratching at the door to still try to get in to have sex with these creatures they didn't even understand. All they thought with was the degenerate ideas and self-pleasure. That's the world we're going towards today. You can play the video.
Until 2020. One of Creepy's clients comes to Creepy one day and he has like a bunch of gruesome back alley operations and amputations done to him. Things I won't go into too much detail about on this app, but just so you know, he basically had him cut his junk off. Yeah, I know. But afterwards, this junkless guy, he starts claiming that it wasn't consensual. That the whole time, Creepy had been manipulating him into participating in these back alley amputations. So he goes to the police and he gives them.
So, now all of a sudden, it's wrong to manipulate someone to do something like this. It's wrong to manipulate a man to cut his junk off. Unless you're a liberal. When you're a liberal or a leftist, it's totally not wrong to convince children to do that. It's wrong in this story for some reason. Everybody can see the wrong in this story. With two grown men. But when you convince a child to do it, somehow that's okay. That's A-okay with society. It's still going on to this day. We can play the video.
Them all kinds of details and information on Creepy and the weird operation he's running. And it turns out that what Creepy's doing is illegal. And so the guy gives police images and videos and screenshots and messages and all kinds of evidence. And so police, they start investigating Creepy. And they track him down and bam, Creepy is arrested. Here's his mugshot. Now, in the course of their investigation, police shut his website down and they start going through all the information they find in order to identify other victims or perpetrators, and that is when they run across Neil's messages. And so they start looking into him. And they find out that he had bought 3 of Creepy's weird amputation videos from the website, showing some pretty gruesome stuff, and that they had exchanged about 1,500 messages about his own amputation.
Look how obsessive they are about this. Look how he couldn't just be satisfied with having his own legs removed. Now he's involved in a whole amputee type cult, and they all fabulous. Fabulous! They doing all types of lame and gay stuff together. You can play the video.
Which, in the end, ends up being evidence against him. So, in 2023, bam, Neil gets arrested. Here's his mugshot. And eventually, he pleads guilty, and he gets sentenced to 32 months in prison. While Creepy also pleads guilty, and he's sentenced to a minimum of 22 years in prison.
Dang.
Oh, and there's one more thing that makes all this even that much more awful. Neil was a surgeon, so he had a bunch of former patients who are now seeking legal advice because they're thinking that maybe Neil had recommended that they get something amputated when they didn't really need it, just because he finds the whole procedure hot. Get the fuck out of here. Oh my, imagine that. Imagine if that had happened to you.
Because that's pretty much the end of the video. But what I'll say is this. So the people observed and they filed a lawsuit because they came together and realized this creepy man had a fetish and he was convincing them to do things they shouldn't have done. Is that what you're telling me? How many lawsuits can we have based on this of the children who are being encouraged to chemically castrate themselves? I think they should sue the mess out of any school. If they have any doubt when they get older, if they have been convinced to do this, I think they should sue the pants off of any school that brought someone in that told them this was a beneficial thing to do for their lives. Sue the pants off of them. Sue them so much you can get your Johnson back. That's how much you should sue them for. I don't know how much a Johnson is going for these days, but that creepy man in the video, he probably selling some on the dark web somewhere. All types of Johnsons he probably got in his closet.
Johnson and
Jeffrey
Johnson.
Dahmer type stuff.
Oh, yuck.
That's what these dudes is on, man. So let's go to the next video because it has a lot to do with what I'm talking about now. In fact, it's a perfect transition. Here, you can click on it.
I see what you did there. Transition.
It's the perfect transition.
I see what you did there.
It's the video. Nope, the one before. Is there one before? It's the one of the girl that we was using to test. That one, yes. That's the one.
I was introduced to GSA Club, Gay Straight Alliance, that was run by 2 lesbian teachers who were married to each other. They lured us in, I was 13, they lured us in by throwing pizza parties and encouraging us to invite people to said pizza parties.
You know what?
And
Pause.
then they taught.
So this young girl going to school, she was groomed. That's what you call that. When somebody lures you in with pizza parties, whatever it is, candy. When we were little, it was told to us, man, if some weird dude pulls up in a car and says, I have some candy for you, never get in because he has evil intentions. Well, look what these LGBTQ advocates are doing. Luring kids in with pizza because they have evil intentions. You can play it.
Us all about the LGBTQ plus community. They taught us what every letter meant. We watched videos, we read books, there was a lot of education happening. And they told us it was going to be a safe space that we could come after school to hang out for a little bit. We didn't do jack shit for real, we just played games and it was a fun time. They lured children in, okay? The next year, because I had, I was in middle school, my body was changing, I had body dysmorphia, dysphoria, however it's pronounced. I didn't like my body. And when I told one of those lesbian teachers about it, who ran GSA Club, because they said that was a safe space to talk about things like that, they suggested that I could be trans. And so that's what I thought. So I tried to tell my mom that I wanted to be able.
This is what they do. They get people and they confuse them on purpose. Satan really thrives in confusion. Just like weeds grow all tangled and mangled up together, Satan thrives. His message thrives in confusion. He loves to get a malleable mind. He can squish and get it exactly how he wants. And then he pushes them in a sinful direction. A degenerate, self-deprecating direction. Something that will destroy your life that he wants you not to be able to come back from. That's how evil he is. And that's how evil these people that are pushing this is. They want you and these kids to make a decision when they don't even know algebra yet. They want these kids to make this lifelong decision to cut something off or destroy themselves internally that it cannot repair. That's a sick person to do something like that to a kid. You can play it.
Boy, I asked her if I could be put on testosterone. I asked her if I could legally change my name to Ashton. She said, fuck no. I didn't know what I wanted. Again, of course I didn't like my body. I was in middle school. My body was changing. That's how most 14-year-olds feel about themselves. They don't like the way they look. I wish more parents were as emotionally mature and intelligent as my mom was to say fuck no. My mom said if you want to take testosterone, if you want to do all that, you can wait until you're 18 and can pay for it yourself. Because I am not going.
You are the smart one.
Here's the thing with these people. They thrive because parents are not involved. This young lady was lucky because she had a parent that said, no, we're not doing that. But do you know why they keep getting away with it? Do you know why? One of the craziest statistics out there is that trans people were less than 0.0 something percent of the population if you go back 50, 60 years, and now 30% of millennials claim to have some LGBTQ disease. 30% of them claim to be in the LGBTQ, one of these letters. You want to tell me how that makes sense? That's indoctrination. That's all it is. It is not because, oh, well, now people are figuring out that sex is a scale, or gender is really on a sliding. No. It's because they've been indoctrinated with this satanic ideology ever since they're little kids in schools, and the parents are not paying attention. Before they even know what 2 + X = 4 is, before they even know geometry and algebra or the basics of biology, some clown is in the classroom convincing them they aren't the sex they were born as. And the purpose in Satan doing this is so you can never go back. Satan wants to make it so Even if you want to turn back, every incentive is for you to stay down the road of destruction. You might as well not turn back now that you cut off your Johnson. You might as well not turn back now that you cut off your breast. What's the point of following God now? You still a freak. That's what Satan would say and speak in your ear. You're a freak now. You made unchangeable differences to your body now. You belong to me now. That's his message. You can never turn to God now. That's not true. It's not true. If you have made these wrong decisions, if you have manipulated your body, if you are a person who fell for this crap, God can still save you. Jesus Christ still died for you. He can save you. That may not mean that if you made something crazy or did something crazy to your body, that's magically going to be reversed. But it does mean your heart will be changed, and inside you'll be a new creature. And one day you will have a new body, and you will be in with Christ in heaven forever. No one can change that, and that is what Satan does not want. We can play the video.
Going to ruin my baby girl's body because she's been manipulated into thinking she's not a girl. What I don't understand is when my uncle is schizophrenic and he thinks he's half alien, half human. He thinks he's an alien-human hybrid. Genuinely. At the time, I was very into Homestuck, a webcomic that has aliens in it, alien troll things. And I told him about it as if it were real. I was in middle school, okay? And my mom got mad at me. Why? Because why are you feeding into the delusions of somebody who is not mentally okay? But when you tell somebody with body dysmorphia that, no, yeah, you're right, there is something wrong with your body. You're not perfect how you are. We need to change your body because you're right. There is something wrong with it. How is that okay? How is that not feeding into a mentally...
That's the noise you make when you get one of these Decepticons to get you in a room alone. Here's the sad part. It's not okay. The young woman said, how is this okay? It's not okay. If good men stood up, we would never allow this. But we too busy being scared of what somebody might think. We too busy being scared that the rainbow people gonna come after us. That the Decepticons gonna deploy against us. Instead of standing up for women, children, little boys, little girls that can't defend themselves. We would rather go along to get along. Any man who has stepped a foot in one of these churches with these LGBTQ flags, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You ought to be disgusted with yourself. You ought to go and ask God for forgiveness for not standing up for truth. You ought to go and fall on your knees before the Lord and say, Lord, I went to a temple of Satan and I did not fight back. If you are a Christian, that is. If you go to a church, and I've seen multiple of them, so it's not far-fetched to believe that somebody out there who listening to me has not been okay with or gone into a church or attended a church with these LGBTQ trans flags in the front. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. God called you to fight against the darkness, and you went right along with it under its umbrella, and you know they're ruining children's lives, and you're cool with it. That's insane. You should not be cool with it. Go ahead, you can play it.
The ill person's delusions. Genuinely, if you look at somebody saying, I don't like my body, there's something wrong with it, and I feel like I was born in the wrong body, and you say, no, yeah, you're a bad person. I'm sorry, you don't love them like you think you do. Did you know that the suicide rate for trans people doesn't change after transitioning? When I was a leftist, I tried so hard to find evidence that showed that the suicide rate went down after transitioning. All I found was proof that it doesn't.
That's one of the biggest lies they tell you, that these people are offing themselves at these magnificent rates because you bigoted Christian won't affirm them. You're denying their existence. That's not true. After they get all the surgeries done, they still end it all. The reason why is psychological. You can only live a lie for so long. You can only live a lie for so long. After a while, when you look in the mirror, you wake up, no matter how much TRT you take, no matter how much hormones you take to be a woman, you're going to look in the mirror one day after a drunken night of partying and realize you're still a man or a woman. And it's going to be super sad for you. And it's very depressing that people don't tell people the truth. And when they come to that realization, what are they supposed to do? They have no more hope, because now instead of obeying God and being happy with the body God gave them, they've ruined their body and they know they can't go back. So it's a very disappointing. I feel for these people. I have a really real heart for those people who would go through something like that, been convinced at a young age by evil adults to ruin their body, and then come to the realization that this ain't who I am, but I've messed everything up now. I really feel for those people. Like, I really have a heart for them, because I can't imagine how sad that would be. And this is why you see the delete yourself rates as high as they are. You cannot run for the truth forever. Before we even go forward with that video, Mr. Producer, we'll go. And for those who think that this is still not, oh, I'm making a big deal out of this, and why do you care so much? It's a famous YouTuber that is known for doing things like this, who is known for trying to convince kids. This man is out there convincing kids, sending them stuff in the mail, showing them how to do this on their own, even when their parents disagree. So let's go. You want to read, Mr. Producer, what that says, who this person is?
Sure. So this is person's called Claire Sorrenti, better known as, is that pronounced Keffals? Keffals, a man, is a Canadian Twitch streamer or a transgender activist and left-wing political commentator. Now, Wikipedia says she began advocating transgender rights after Texas Governor Greg Abbott instructed Texas state agencies to treat gender-affirming medical treatments for transgender youths, such as puberty blockers or hormone treatments, as child abuse. She has scared me there, Jack. She has commentated on her experiences as a trans woman and has hosted people such as Chelsea Manning on her stream. Sorrenti was previously a member of the Communist Party of Canada.
Wow.
And contested 2 elections under the party banner. But wait, she was also an organizer for the Young Communist League of Canada. She has since ended her affiliation with both groups. In 2022, Sorrenti became the subject of a loosely organized harassment campaign that she's attributed to Kiwi Farms, with internet trolls using her dead name while filing false police reports, pizza bombing her residence.
You know what the dead name is?
Yeah, that's like what that person's former name was before they transitioned. Oh my gosh. Pizza bombing her residence, and organizing a number of swattings. Wow.
All right. I don't know if you want to go back on mute because our mic is acting up.
Okay, yeah, I'm going back on mute.
Yeah, so this person is I don't want to say famous, an internet personality, an influencer. She's well known. She has had plenty of beefs online. I keep saying she. Why am I saying that? Why do I care to say she? No, he has had plenty of beefs. He is a well-known influencer. He is pretending. No, I'm not playing this game with you people. Here's the problem with y'all. I'm a Christian. I don't lie. You can't get me to lie. I can fall for it for a little bit like I just did there, because guess what? This person is convincing. We won't be lying and saying that he does not look like a woman. It does. But we don't have to play the games they play. You can call it hateful as you want. I will not lie. It's a man. So the man has went out and tried to convince people of all types of things. Let's play that YouTube video.
By other trans people behind their parents' backs. The reason I say parents is because it encouraged children explicitly to purchase these drugs. It personally had listings of places to purchase them, and once you got it, it would come with a lolicon packaging once actually delivered, just to top it all off, really. Once again, this is like giggly goon clown tier and this was being promoted by Kevels openly, which is verifiably true, funded by her own admission. And all of this is shown with dates and everything in the video by Mudahar. This person was running a website that sent hormones to children against the will of their parents.
So what she was doing was running a website to show kids. She had a Discord, she had a website. She had all sorts of ways to show children how they could get all the materials they need to chemically castrate themselves and change their sex. This person is still on the internet. This person is still out there. This person is still a spokesperson. This person still has influence. This person hasn't been canceled. This person is still making videos. But I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy for not using the pronouns that he requires me to use, even though he is going out there convincing little children to do what he wants them to do. A sick individual. I don't play their games. You don't influence me. These people are sick and they need to be stopped. You can continue playing that.
You would think no one would be able to defend this. Like, it's fucking disgusting. If this was any other drug, if this was literally anything, if it was fentanyl, people would be like, that guy's a fucking pedophile selling drugs to kids. That's disgusting. But as soon as it's Keffels, as soon as it's a trans person, everybody is like, oh, well, actually, there are a lot of good reasons. I mean, hormones prevent suicide. Yeah, I'm sure these untested hormones, which had fucking dog hair in them, are definitely preventing that. Like, there was no doctor involved in this. There was no fucking scientist. It was a fucking do-it-yourself website that was sending drugs to kids. That is so illegal. You would...
So, tell me if that's not sick. Is it not sick that there are people out there like this Keffels person who are going out of their way to convince little children to disobey their parents and make a decision that will be irreversible for the rest of their life? How is that not sick? How is that not punishable by prison time? How? If I was selling kids fentanyl on the internet and showing them how to get it, if I was showing them how to make crack cocaine and how to use it, how to make a crack pipe, everybody would label me a bad guy. But because this person has a following and is a trans influencer and fighting for trans rights and a communist and in the gayest place on earth, Canada, they can do whatever they want and get away with it. So, you know, you can play a little bit more of the video.
Would think no one would be able to defend this, but they do defend it. Muda really did have the opinion of some ordinary gamer. Bro was fear-mongering DIY HRT for minors and even sided with the UK government cracking down on a DIY HRT supplier. This medicine helps prevent deaths, and these sites are often the only way minors can access it.
That was the dumbest shit I heard all day.
Bro, kids should not be buying hormones on the internet. It should be cracked down upon. Thankfully, there are some sane people in the replies. This had cat hair in it. The boy featured, ordered some, injected it, and found no change in estrogen. What was he injecting? Unlicensed black market drugs for kids, and in general, provided by random people, are bad. The people who ran the site, frankly...
Look at how scary this is. These kids don't even know what they're taking. And they see that this person, this man, has got all this attention from doing this and taking advantage of the fact that you got some fame, you got some influence, you got some push online. Now you have convinced people to take over the mail drugs to do the same thing you've done. How is that not satanic and evil? Somebody explain to me why I could get canceled for saying the man is a he, but this person won't get canceled for doing what they did to children. Somebody explain that. Why people will be more surprised that I won't use this person's preferred pronouns, but still groups of people will come after me for calling him a he. Which one is worse? Only a sick, twisted person, a sick, twisted individual would say, oh, you dead naming that person, you not using the preferred pronouns is way worse than what this person did to children by showing them where to get drugs, chemically castrate themselves forever and not irreversible damage. You're a sick individual if you think that using somebody's preferred pronouns outweighs what this sick individual did. You were going to say something, Mr. Producer? Okay. Oh my goodness, man. This stuff gets me really riled up because he reminds me of that lady on The Simpsons. Who's going to care for the children? It's a sick individual who do something like that. And it's like nobody really cares anymore. We got so destroyed in our society that we talk about canceling people for all types of stuff, canceling people for making fun of Charlie Kirk, and I understand that, and I agree with that. But what about somebody who's convincing kids to chemically castrate themselves? What should happen to a person like that? I'll tell you what I would do. That speaks for itself. Let's go into the next topic here, and that is Vodi Bakham's video. Y'all know I love Vodi Bakham. He has recently passed away. Rest in peace to him. I don't even like the term rest in peace that much because he is in heaven. He is enjoying his life. He's probably having adventures our minds couldn't conceive or even begin to fathom, the joy and the fun and how he is reigning with Christ right now, absent from the body, present with the Lord. I'm sure he doesn't even look like the Vodi Bakham we know. And one day it will happen to all of us. So in that sense, I'm sorry for his family that they go through that loss, but I'm also joyous that he is a man of God completely, and we know where he is. We don't have to wonder. But you can play his video because it says a lot about him. Is there a way? Is it on? Oh, hang it back.
Good impression
There we go. You might want to
that if we just keep our head down, neutrality is not an option. And so many Christians are under the deluded impression that if we just keep our head down, if we just go to church, if we just practice our faith in our home, if we just do that they'll leave us alone. But they won't. They won't. I don't know if you've been watching lately, but it's not enough for you to just refuse to be hostile. It is now demanded that you bend the knee and confess Caesar is Lord. You can't be neutral. Try to be neutral if you want to. We're just going to be neutral. We're just going to go about our life.
That's right.
Yep. And then your daughter lines up in the track meet and there's a boy racing her. What do? Do you sit there, take the loss, clap when the trophy is given to the biological male? What do you do? What do you do when you go to work and then they have this new policy at your work where you put your pronouns on everything and you say, no, I'm not going to play the game. I'm just not going to put the pronouns on there. And they say, no, it's a policy. Put your pronouns on there. Fine. I'll put my pronouns on there, but my pronouns are the pronouns that God gave me. Good for you, because that's just step one. You've put your pronouns, everybody else has put their pronouns, and then this is what happens. They come to you and they say, You must bear false witness.
Yep.
Look at that man and call him a woman.
Let me say something.
Neutrality is not an option.
This is why we as Christians cannot falter. We cannot give an inch to evil. We must fight. Too many Christians think that peace is an option when the Bible says, live peaceably amongst other men as much as possible. Now we are at a time where it is not possible to live peaceably. Now we are at a time where we must make a stand. Now we are at a time where we must speak up. If you lose your job, then praise the Lord, because Paul said it this way. I must decrease, he must increase. All the apostles had decreed that to live is for Christ and to die is gain. Job said, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. Joshua said, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Part of the problem is too many Christian men, we have gotten so weak and so scared that we really think that evil is just like us. In the sense that, oh, they won't come for my kids because I would never do that to them. Oh, they'll stop and have mercy on me. They wouldn't dare do that evil, wicked thing over here because that's just not what people do. It's so inhumane to do that. Oh, they wouldn't take my job from me. They are still human. They wouldn't try to cancel me. They know I need a job. They would still be human about it. They wouldn't come for my children. They wouldn't come for my wife. They wouldn't be okay with me starving to death because I can't find a job anywhere. Yes, they will. They will come for you. They do hate you. They do want you to die. They laugh when good, godly people die. They will not stop. They must be defeated. Every good father teaches a son that a bully will not stop until you fight back. There's going to be times when you say, please stop. Don't hurt me. I haven't hit you. I haven't done anything wrong to you. Does the bully care? You think the bully's going to be like, you know what, little Johnny? I haven't had you do anything wicked to me. Therefore, I won't take your lunch money anymore. You made such a good point. The bully don't care what you think. He's doing it to you because you allow him to do it. He steps on your foot because you allow him to step on your foot. You gave him an inch and now he took a mile. Don't be surprised when they take a mile because you said after the third inch, oh, they'll never go another inch. Yes, they will. You have to not have no fear. God has not given us the fear of us, but of a sound mind. He has given us courage, boldness, zeal, passion. Too many Christians don't even speak and raise their voice because they too scared. Passion is going to come off cross as angry. Stand for something. Have some zeal. Love God more than you love this world. Do not be ashamed of God, because if you're ashamed of God, he's going to be ashamed of you when he comes before the Father. That's worse than death. For me to die, come before God and say, yeah, he had the opportunity to speak up at a job, but he was just too scared, God the Father. Yeah, I told him. I put it in his heart to say something, but he just wouldn't do it. He was too scared. He didn't want to make his wife angry. People at his job said that he would have to go to the HR department and get retrained, so he didn't stand up for your name. He didn't stand on the godly things that he knew he should stand on, because it was just too much of a cost for him. Yeah, I know I died on the cross for his sins so that he could be in heavenly bliss for all eternity. But it was just too much for him to have to go to get retrained by HR. It was too much for him to have to stand against his cousin because his cousin was gay. It was too much for him to say, I'm not going to this gay marriage. It was too much for him to say anything on Facebook because his friends were encouraging degeneracy. It was too much for him to actually stand up against the church body when they started saying things that he knew was wrong. It was too much for him to argue with his wife because his wife was teaching the kids something he didn't agree with. It was just too much. He claimed he followed Jesus Christ, but it was too much for him to go that far. It was too much for him to stand up for what the Word of God actually says. He had to water it down. He had to make it palatable. He had to make it so other people could accept it with love. He had to straighten up his tone. He couldn't say the Word of God in truth. His tone wasn't correct, and he spent his whole life trying to get his tone correct, so he just didn't say anything. That's the godly response, right? That's being a man of God. Being scared, so scared of how you're perceived that you don't say anything. A bunch of cowards. That's what men have become nowadays. A bunch of cowards. And it's like, I don't want to be around cowards. When you go to war, I don't want to look to the left or to the right and see a coward. God doesn't want to look down and say, I gave you your life and I gave you your voice to speak out for me, but instead you chose to be a coward. That's nothing to be proud of. Who want to go to their deathbed saying, I got all this money, all this fame, but I let my family down because I wouldn't stand up for what's right. I let God down because I wouldn't stand up for what's right. My children's legacy is all destroyed. None of them live for Christ because I didn't have the boldness to tell them to stop doing what they were doing. What man wants to die like that? I'd rather die a man of God than to live as a coward. That don't mean be reckless. God put you in your job to do your job and to do it right. If you're wasting your job and you're not being a good worker because you're too busy talking about the Bible when you should be working, that's not what I'm talking about. You're just a bad worker and you're using the Bible as an excuse to be lazy. I'm talking about when the time comes, when the Holy Spirit presses upon you to speak the truth, you ought to speak the truth with no hesitation. If somebody comes and asks you, that's the perfect opportunity not for you to be like, well, I can't talk about that. They asked you. God sent them to you. I hate when a Christian will tell me, man, Jehovah's Witnesses came to my door and I turned them away. I ain't got time for all that. You mean to tell me people came to your door and you knew for a fact they don't know God because Jehovah's Witnesses are not Christian. You knew for a fact they did not know God and they're asking to speak with you about the truth and you did not take that chance to give it to them? You think God not going to play that back when you get to heaven? Oh, I didn't know enough. That's your fault. I'll let the pastor deal with that. That's your fault. You claim to know God and you don't know enough to defend his word? That's your fault. I didn't want to offend nobody. That's your fault. Being a coward. Jesus said he's a stone of offense. That means you can be offensive sometimes. You're supposed to be like him, ain't you? So let's go to the next topic, Mr. Producer, and it's a weird one. It's a very weird one, and when you see it, you're going to be like, you're going to understand when you see it. Is it? Here, you click on it. Yeah, that one. Yep, that's it. Play it from the beginning.
Yeah, oh, here we go.
Us what abortions really are. And I pray that people will start to wake up and realize the level of evil that is taking over this country. And don't worry, I went to their website to show you that this is indeed real. The ritual, which includes the abortion itself, spans the entirety of the pregnancy termination procedure. There are steps to be performed before, during, and after the medical or surgical abortion. There are preparations for the ritual, but don't worry, because you can review the safety, debunked claims, and scientific reality regarding abortion before you perform the ritual. Preparations for the ritual actually include reciting satanic affirmations out loud. They also have a downloadable flyer that you can print so you can share with your friends or family members just in case they wanted to partake in the ritual themselves. This is the problem. Satan has done a beautifully horrific job at convincing the world
Oh, it's pretty much done. You can play the rest, I guess.
that he does not exist.
Here's my problem. Why would Christians not already know that the
Abortions
Satanic Temple, the Satanic Church, those
really
who claim to
are.
be Satanists,
And I
you
pray
should already understand that they are 100% for abortions. I'm telling people this because there is a small group of stupid Christians, utterly stupid, who really believe that you can be a Christian and still believe that abortion is somehow permissible. If there's any doubt in your mind that abortion is satanic, that it's one of, if not the most satanic practice you can do, we're going to read some facts for you. So if you want to pull that up, Mr. Producer, we'll show these on screen and you can read those for us when you get there. Excuse me.
So it talks about the Satanic Temple, a non-theistic religious organization founded in 2013 and recognized as a church by the IRS, has been one of the most vocal and active satanic groups advocating for abortion access. They frame abortion as a protected religious right under the First Amendment and State Religious Freedom Restoration Acts, RFRAs, arguing that restrictions infringe on their tenets of bodily autonomy, empathy, and science-based decision-making. TST does not worship a literal Satan, but uses satanic imagery symbolically to challenge religious privilege in public policy. Key statements and actions include abortion as a religious ritual. TST's religious abortion ritual is a ceremonial affirmation of self-worth performed during the procedure involving recitation of tenets 3, one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone, and 5, beliefs.
Read that one again.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
Is this not what feminists say all the time?
It's a ceremonial affirmation involving recitation of this tenet, one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone.
Oh.
And beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs. This ritual exempts members from medically unnecessary and unscientific state mandates like waiting periods, mandatory ultrasounds, or biased counseling in RFRA states. They provide a downloadable procedure guide and assert it enables first trimester abortions on demand without interference. They have filed multiple lawsuits claiming abortion bans violate their religious freedoms. For example, in Texas, a 2022 lawsuit by member Ann Doe, they challenged sonograms, fetal heartbeat audio, and 24-hour waits as shaming tactics that prevent ritual participation, comparing them to taxing a Catholic mass. Spokesperson, oh boy, exactly. Spokesperson Lucian Greaves stated these laws impose a financial and regulatory hurdle on a religious exercise. In Missouri, a Judy Doe case appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. They argued 72-hour waits and anti-abortion literature impose Christian dogma, violating satanic beliefs in personal choice. Similar suits in Idaho in 2024, oral arguments before the Ninth Circuit, And Indiana in 2023 dismissed but seeking mail order abortions, emphasize exemptions for members. They operate an independent network of satanic abortion clinics funded by donations free from government aid for government dependency. As of 2025, they opened the Right to Your Life Satanic Abortion Clinic in Virginia in October of 2024, offering free reproductive care. They launched the president's huge, most beautiful, tremendous satanic abortion clinic in Maine in June 14th of this year, 2025, intentionally on Donald Trump's birthday, providing free services and merchandise like stickers and magnets to promote it. They encourage donations and thank you cards to supporters or ironic notes to politicians, like mailing Trump cards celebrating the Maine clinic as his legacy. They oppose fetal burial laws in Indiana and Arkansas as forcing religious disposal of medical waste and runs an informed consent database detailing state restrictions. They also distribute flyers warning about crisis pregnancy centers for misinformation and non-HIPAA compliance. Oh my gosh. So there's more. Recent X or Twitter statements. July 23rd of this year, 2025, they visited Senator Susan Collins' office to promote free Maine Clinic services. In June 14th of this year, they announced Maine Clinic opening, calling it America's newest abortion clinic and inviting donations. On June 6, 2025, they promoted Trump birthday cards for the clinic, stating his legacy inspired a satanic abortion clinic. March 26, 2025, live streamed an Idaho lawsuit argument against restrictions impacting religious rights. They position themselves, it's a group, itself, as the leading beacon of light in the battle for abortion access, especially post Roe v. Wade, urging members denied exemptions to contact the satanictemple.com for legal aid.
You know what? Pause this because I had a comment from the previous section we did.
Okay.
You want to just put yourself on mute and then
Sure.
And Michelle wrote, if grown consenting people want this, they should forfeit any right to the government help in the future. You should not be allowed to be a strain on society. We need to bring shame back. And that was talking about the trans topic that we covered. And the reason why I 100% agree is people are pushing for government assistance for that trans nonsense. This is what? I know we already went over the topic, but that's a good point. Is like, if you're going to have that goofy stuff, we were talking about the amputee stuff and the trans stuff. If you're going to do that stuff to yourself, your government assistance should be cut off. I'm sorry, we can go back to our topic though.
So moving on, the Church of Satan, founded in 1966 by Anton LaVey as the original modern satanic organization, takes a more individualistic and apolitical stance. They emphasize personal responsibility and separation of church and state. Viewing
personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Viewing abortion as a private medical decision rather than a religious right. The COS explicitly rejects claims linking abortion to satanic sacraments or rituals, distancing themselves from activist groups like TST, which they see as satirical and not truly satanic.
We can stop there because that pretty much gives the gist of what they stand for. Here's my issue for these idiots, especially these feminists on TikTok who claim to be Christian. How is it you walk lockstep with the satanic church and claim you're on God's side? I've seen several posts. I should have screen captured them when I saw them, but I didn't even know I was going to be doing this topic on this specific issue. And what I saw is women saying, if you had an abortion, it's what God wanted. You can still be a Christian. Oh, really? Don't believe the lies. People who say that are wolves in sheep clothing, Satanists in their mind and in their heart. They are not Christian. Anyone who would kill an innocent child, an unborn child, and say, yeah, this is what God wants. Yeah, your God. His name is Satan. That's what your God wants. With a little g. I serve the big G God. True God. The living God. Jesus Christ. And you people, here's the thing with a lot of these feminists. the type of Christianity that they follow is always one that opposes what the Word of God says. You're not a Christian. I'm sorry to break it to you. You don't know Jesus Christ on a personal level. There's no possible way. Because how can I know Jesus? And the Bible says God never changes and his word never changes. And you know the same Jesus. One of us is lying. The Satanic Church laid out, and we read all that information so that no one can say, oh, that's not what they believe. They put out clearly what they believe. It's not a secret. These people get joy out of killing children. They claim that it is a part of their religious right to be able to do so. And then a fake, phony Christian will come up and say, I'm a Christian and I agree with abortion. No, you don't. You're a Satanist and you're a wolf in sheep's clothing. You're not a Christian. No Christian in the world could look at a newborn baby and say it deserved to die for my own selfish desires. And people say, well, what gives you the right to judge somebody's salvation? The fact that you killed an innocent child. That. If the Bible says you'll know a tree by its fruit, what type of fruit is that? And I'm not saying that you Christians can't sin. But we need to stop acting like bad decisions or all sins are equal. They're not. If somebody tell you to shut up out of anger, that is not the same as having a procedure, paying for that procedure, having a doctor use utensils to rip apart that children's body and take it apart piece by piece while that child is alive and you can't hear the screams because it's in the mother's stomach. When it cannot defend itself. That is not the same sin. That's called murder. And anybody trying to convince you otherwise, they want you to do a ritual for Satan. And I'm saying that people do, I remember when Satanic Panic was such a big deal, rock music and this and that. The Satanic Church, now we have the internet, now we have the age of information. We can see exactly what they say. So it's no longer me making this or blowing this out of proportion when we just read from their own website what they think. And people will still say, well, they're just playing. They just say anything against Christianity. That's still enough not to do it. If somebody's whole ideology is to go exactly opposite of what Christianity is, why would you align with that and call yourself a Christian? People are so stupid and so weak nowadays. Imagine if you have a mother and her name is Jenny. And a group of people get together and they say, we hate Jenny so much. Everything she does, we'll try to destroy it. Every time she goes anywhere, we're going to try to cause her pain. Every time we get a chance, we're going to try to take her life. Everything she says or teaches as a value, we're going to teach against it. And you, as the daughter of Jenny, go out and befriend these people. Go out and do what they do. You're cool with kicking it with people like that. You're cool with having the same ideology as the Jenny haters. And then you come home and say, I love you, Mom. You don't really love your mom now, do you? You say it, but you don't mean it. And that's how these Christians are who push this Democrat Party stuff. There's darn near, I don't know how Christians are even fathoming that you could be a Democrat in today's day and age, a leftist, a liberal in today's day and age, and claim the name of Christ. If you can, show me how. Because I truly don't know. I do not know how you can take Christianity and liberal leftism, put them together, and they see no qualms. Everything they stand for. I saw a video. I should have got this because it just came to me just now. I saw a video months and months ago of the Democrat Party doing a march, a parade. And in part of their march, the Satanic Temple had their people marching along with the Democrat Party. Show me Republicans that do that. Now, I'm not saying Republicans is perfect. There's a lot of things about Republicans I disagree with. But as a conservative Christian coming before the conservative, I have never stood with no Satanists on anything. Wouldn't even feel comfortable with them walking with me anywhere. Only time I would talk to a Satanist is when I'm giving them the gospel. We can't be friends if you hate my God. Are you crazy? And people will sit here and simp for the Democrat Party, especially us black people. We love the Democrat Party. We will simp for the Democrat Party knowing that Satanists march with them, knowing that they have the same ideology as Satanists. This is cool with y'all? But you still a follower of God. Okay, whatever. Let's go. You know what? I want to skip the next section of the China crackdown. And let's go to the Kentucky divorce law one. We'll save the China crackdown one to the next week. So, something happened in Kentucky in 2024. And I think it was a great thing. A very great thing. And not in the sense of, oh, this gives the men an equal leg up to put their foot on woman's neck. No. I'm explaining why it's a great thing after I show you the video that explains what happened.
25% drop in divorces. But the question, of course, is how and what exactly changed within the past few years. Well, back in 2018, Kentucky became the first state to flip the script when it came to custody. You see, instead of automatically giving the mom primary custody and dad every other weekend Disney dad role, as many of you have seen over and over again, the law made 50-50 custody the default. Unless there's proof of real abuse or neglect, the court starts from equal parenting time. Here's why that's important. The more time dad spends with his kids, the less he will have to pay in child support. Before, divorces often meant that the mom walks away with the kid and a big child support check. After the law, that's not guaranteed anymore. Now critics, mostly women's.
And here's the thing. After the bill passed to make things more fair, women were crying. All over the internet, they was crying. And it's like, what are you crying for? I thought y'all wanted equality. This is how it should have been from the beginning. You can play the video.
Groups say this is unfair. They argue that some mothers feel trapped in bad marriages, even abusive ones, because they worry that dad will get half custody even if they divorce. And judges have been accused of ignoring abuse claims, all because the father didn't directly lay hands on the child. But here's the other side. Men see this as finally fair. Husbands say the system no longer rewards the wife for filing for a divorce just to get custody and child support. Instead, both parents have to share.
It's true. You should not get rewarded for going through a divorce. So all the feminist groups got together in Kentucky, and this is what we heard.
Be gone.
You cannot sit up here and act as if fairness is a bad thing. You cannot sit up here and act like we just want equality. We want to be treated the same as men. But we're going to divorce our husband, take everything they have, and take the kids away from him and use them as a pawn in our little game of life. No. Kentucky did the right thing. Let's complete playing the video.
Time, share responsibility, and share costs. So what Kentucky did was take out the financial incentive to blow up a marriage. And for a lot of men, that's exactly why they call this a win. But do the women's groups who do not like this new law have a point? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Let's see.
Divorce rates are dropping in Kentucky. I went there to figure out why. In 2018, Kentucky became the first state to make 50-50 shared custody the default. That means that children split their time equally between both parents, and fathers pay less in child support the more time that they spend with their children. Before that, judges decided custody based on what they called the best interest of the child. Fathers said that usually relegated them to an every other weekend arrangement, the so-called Disneyland dad effect, while mothers got to spend most of the time with their children. Since the law passed, divorce rates have dropped. Between 2016 and 2023, divorces in this
Mr. Producer, what do you think about that? Divorce rates have dropped. He's trying not to laugh.
How do I follow that? With that.
Divorce rates have dropped. What does this tell you?
Women can't take advantage of this stuff anymore.
Yep. It tells you, it gives you a little bit of a motive. Go ahead, my fault.
It was just, there's the selfish motive that they have. They can't take advantage anymore of this. That the husband also has rights, not just them. And I think when they see that, they go, "Oh, wait a minute now. So this is more equal. I'm not going to gain anything from this. So yeah, let's not go down that road."
I thought y'all was so incompatible that you had to divorce him.
Irreconcilable differences.
Irreconcilable differences.
Apparently not when it comes to this.
Exactly.
Whoops.
Exactly. Whoops. You messed up. Now all of a sudden, y'all don't have no irreconcilable differences. When you don't get everything you want. Now you over here looking sad because he get. This is why I don't be believing when these people say, "Oh, we just couldn't get along. We was on the same page. We grew apart." But divorce rates went down when women didn't get everything they want after the divorce. It shows you part of the problem was the women. Everybody likes to put things on men, and the men are, I talk all the time. Y'all can't say I'm not fair. I talk about weak men and how men need to be men all the time. This goes to show you, though, there are a lot of women in society who were taking advantage of the courts. They were getting the money, the house, the cars, and the kids. And when you take away that and make it so it's 50-50 off the bat, which it should be from the beginning, by the way, make it 50-50 off the bat, now women are saying, "Oh, I can't take the kids away from him. I guess I'll stay with him then." Well, that's a darn good result. I'm happy that you finally stopped being so selfish that you wouldn't destroy a marriage and you would stick together with your husband. I'm happy you finally came to your senses. You can play the video.
State fell 25% compared to 18%.
And for those of you who are like, she's pretty much telling us what you just told us. I know. The comments are really what we're going to pay a lot of attention to, and we're going to look a little bit more deeper into these ignored abuse claims that these women's groups are stating.
Nationwide. It's hailed as a victory for fathers' rights, but the story is more complicated. Some critics of the law say that people are staying in abusive marriages because they're afraid of leaving their children alone with a parent with a history of violence. One mom told me that her husband nearly killed her in 2023. She filed criminal charges and he was arrested.
So Kentucky...
Basically, they go into more and more. You know what, Mr. Producer? We'll go into reading some of the facts about that I looked up about Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah, we can put them on screen and just show. It's you know what? It's actually in the.
Oh, here we go.
Yep, it's in that file.
Okay.
So it's not gonna be on that other screen. It'll only be on the screen where I'm the small picture. You know what I mean?
Okay, gotcha.
You can just make that full screen. Yeah, it's gonna be that one. Yep, there you go.
Got it right here. Wow. So there's a lot here. So what Kentucky law currently has as of 2024, it's House Bill 528, which was passed in 2018. It created a rebuttable presumption that joint custody and equally shared parenting time are in the best interest of the child. This means in custody. Yeah. This means in custody cases, courts start with the assumption that 50-50 parenting is best unless proven otherwise. Now, there are exceptions. For example, if there's a domestic violence order against a parent, the presumption does not apply to that parent. The presumption also applies in modification of custody cases, changing an existing custody order. But the data and reporting say there's been a reported drop in divorce rates. A Wall Street Journal analysis cited by multiple sources states that Kentucky's divorce rate fell about 25% from 2016 to 2023. In that same period, the national divorce rate dropped by about 18%, so Kentucky's decline appears larger than the average. And Kentucky passed the law making joint custody and equal parenting time a rebuttable presumption for final custody orders in 2018. That's the House Bill 528. Supporters of the law argue that the presumption of 50-50 custody also gives parents an incentive to stay together or work things out because separation doesn't imply losing a relationship with children. That may reduce divorce filings in some cases. Wow, so separation doesn't imply losing relationship time with children. That may reduce divorce filings in some cases. Wow.
This is a good thing. Overall, this is great. I wish every state would do this because what's been happening to men, and one of the reasons why they've been opting out of marriage is, for one, and I've always said this, the church is not doing their part. The church is not holding women accountable. The church is actually encouraging women in the name of verbal abuse and financial abuse and all this made up abuse tactics to leave their husbands and not try to work things out. So what's been happening in Kentucky that I really love is divorce rates have gone down. How can any Christian look at this and not say that's a good thing? I like that they passed this law, and I hope other states file suit, because what you have right now is marriage is not what it should be. The idea of marriage that comes from the Bible was that the two become one flesh. And in that means when you separate the two becoming one flesh, that's an actual death. When people take vows before God, it is a serious thing. Very serious. They ought not to be broken. In the Old Testament, that was broken under penalty of death. Adultery was punishable by death. So now we have this new way of thinking in our modern age that you can have irreconcilable differences, or you can just grow apart and get a divorce for any reason you want. That is not what marriage was intended to be. That's not how God intended marriage to be. And anything that we can do to make divorce more difficult to obtain is a good thing in my books. I think, and this is the wild take, I think that before anyone gets married, it wasn't like this back in my day, because I've been married for almost 20 years now. But if I was to get married now, I think you should come to the church, have a good Bible-believing church that believes in church discipline, that believes in accountability, believes in discipleship, believes in giving hard truths, teaching the word of God in season, out of season. You make sure of all those things. Secondly, you need to go through marriage counseling before you even consider being married. You need to have your father, family, deacons, church leadership, elders, examine your wife, examine your future husband. Make sure you are compatible. Make sure you are aware of what marriage will be like in the future. And now, in today's day and age, I think it would not be wrong if you had your church write a prenup. And your church, by that, I mean that the prenup should have involved in it that the church dictates that if you were to divorce your husband or if you are to divorce your wife, you lose everything. If there's not a good reason for you to divorce your wife, if there's not a good reason for you to divorce your husband, the church should come to an agreement that you sign in paper and you sign in documents that if you just walk out of the marriage, you lose everything, man or woman. I think if the church was more involved in that, you would have less divorces. I think that's a good way we could use prenuptial agreements to our favor, so that people who are really truly Christians and people of God would say no to divorce and yes to sticking it out. People talk about happiness all the time. Christianity and being married is not about happiness. It's about following God. It is your duty to one another. It's about two becoming one flesh and actually doing what it says in Ephesians chapter 5. Exhibiting Christ's love for the church, and church is obedient to the husband. Most people don't even understand the vows that they take. They just take them because they sound so cute. But in all actuality, one of the vows says that a husband will protect his wife, love his wife as God loved the church, that he will be willing to give his life for her. Not that you would have a bunch of girls on the side or anything like that. Not that you'll be shacking up with somebody. That's why I don't be trusting dudes. When you want to talk this Bible talk and you shacking up with your girlfriend, I don't trust you. On the woman's side, the vows say that you would obey your husband as unto the Lord. This is taken straight from Ephesians chapter 5. You don't get to say, well, when he doing what I want him to do. No. You obey your husband as unto the Lord. You submit to him as unto the Lord. Divorce is not an option. I don't trust a woman when she want to give marriage advice that she ain't married. I don't trust a woman who want to give marriage or relationship advice to younger women and she ain't married at all. I don't care what you have to say. You haven't proven anything. And I'm not talking about being in a marriage and been divorced 5 times. You got a bunch of failed marriages. I don't care what you have to say about marriage advice or relationship advice. You can't keep a man. Learn how to win the game before you start trying to coach somebody else. And I'm giving this to men and women. A lot of people have been given marriage advice, relationship advice, and sit around on the couch. They have a little podcast and talk about what men should do, what women should do. None of them married. None of them have a successful marriage. I don't care what you think. There's some people that can give some decent good, like Kevin Samuels, for instance. He was not married, and he gave some truthful advice. But the reality is, if I'm looking to have a godly marriage, if I'm looking to obey God in my actions, I shouldn't be looking towards the internet to get advice. It can be entertaining to listen to. I can hear these podcasts, see, every once in a while they have a nugget of truth. But I need to go to godly people with a successful marriage. And the Kentucky thing showed me that taking away a lot of these incentives for people to leave can allow them to have successful marriage. Yes, you should stay together for the kids. Stop putting your own happiness above obedience to God. That's the last thing I'll say on that. Anything you want to say, Mr. Producer?
I think we covered it pretty well. We have had a pretty interesting show today.
Yeah.
Covered a lot of things. I still can't wrap my head around the first couple of topics though. Wow, this is stuff that I think a lot of people don't know. You know, and just learning about this today, just about the new Kentucky laws and stuff. I think that goes a long way to doing the right thing here. Right.
Like, I'm not saying, excuse me. I'm not saying you can legislate righteousness. A lot of people
you can't do that.
If you just make laws, you're going to make people obey God. No. But you can give incentives. The Bible, God, Jesus gives incentives for people to do the right thing. And too much in our society right now, there's an incentive to do the wrong thing. We have to put the incentives a bad incentive to do the bad thing, or a good incentive to do the wrong thing, can incentivize somebody who otherwise would do the right thing to do the wrong thing. And that's all I'm saying about that. I'm not saying that
Mm-hmm.
you're going to legislate righteousness, but in a lot of these topics that we went over, it shed a lot of light and gives Christians some ammo to know what's going on in society and how to fight against it. And that's pretty much what I want to do.
The information is key with this. The more people know about this, the better.
Yep. So with that being said, I do want to close out the show. I hope you guys, we should play the Swamp Donkey. Do we got the Swamp Donkey song? Oh man, I might have to pull it up.
Oh, wait. No.
Oh, I can pull it up. You know what? I'll pull the Swamp Donkey song up. Okay. So we can go. I might have to step off real quick.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. Yeah, play that song. Oh, I don't want to play?
Doesn't want to play.
Oh, the shame.
Man. The Swamp Donkey's got it.
Oh, man, it's acting up.
Yeah, it's acting up.
You know what?
It's trying to load.
While it does that.
Memories of you.
Got it. Here we go.
They're pulling me down. Echoes in my mind, can't leave them behind.
Like, subscribe, share.
Swamp donkey, monkey mouth. Got me losing sleep, I'm haunted by your name. Caught up in this storm, my heart can't be tamed. Feeling trapped in time, reliving the pain.
Future shows.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Feeling